Hi guys, Johnny Good here for Real Home Studio. Today taking a look at 6 practical time-saving mixing tips you can utilise from within your home studio. Just before we dive straight in, I want to remind you to please like and subscribe, and if you've got a practical mixing time-saving tip, please do share it with us in the comments box below. Number 1, and that's dealing with the internet and all the plethora of sites upon it which are so distracting when you sit down and want to focus and work. YouTube, which you're on right now, is an absolute black hole for losing hours. Facebook's, social media, Instagram, TikTok, watching the news, using Google. One top tip is to switch the Wi-Fi off, take control. When you come down to sit down and do a job, get the Wi-Fi off. That's going to ensure that you stay focused on the job in hand, and leave that Wi-Fi off until you've finished the job. The other great thing is it'll also speed up your workflow because there won't be other downloads and jobs going on in the background which the computer or the various applications that you have require the Wi-Fi for. So tip number 1, turn that Wi-Fi off. Number 2, learn and practice to mix quick. That first hour of mixing is when you feel creative, motivated, energized, and excited to be working on a new piece of music. And the more you hone your skills and you learn to move quickly across your DAW to get great results when you're mixing, the better your mixes will become. I often feel like after that first hour, which is really exciting and you can feel the music coming together, you're making big, broad brushstrokes and making great decisions. After that first hour, everything starts to break down and become a little bit tweaky and geeky. So learning to really maximize that first hour when you feel excited and energized and you're making good decisions with fresh ears and a fresh brain is really crucial to getting a great mix. Number 3, drop perfectionism. And this is a really hard one for me. It's something that I've had to work out really hard, particularly over the last few years. I listened to a podcast, can't remember the name of the author, but it absolutely rang so true with me. I listened to it a few months ago and I want to share it with you. So she was a successful author. She'd finished a book and there was one character in the book that just wasn't working for her. Now she knew she could go back through that book and rework the character, but it would take a lot of time, and she felt like she was really serving the perfectionist within her. So she decided to release the book despite knowing there was a fault or an issue with that character. And when the test reviews came back, indeed all the critics came back and kind of slated the character and went, this would have been a masterpiece, but this character wasn't quite right. Now, rather than feel down about it, she just embraced it as losing her perfectionism. She was moving forward. She got that book done. She was already working on the next book and she was at peace with it. And you know what? That book went on to be a bestseller. So learning to drop perfectionism and accept that, every mix, every recording isn't going to be perfect. And you know what? It's sometimes those pieces in music, those imperfections, which make the people that are listening to the music really warm to the character that shines through the music itself. So learning to drop that perfectionism, I think, is crucial to not only speeding up your workflow, but enjoying the process and actually making really good music. Number 4, making decisions and planning at the tracking stage. I think that's another crucial one, and that's one that's often gets overlooked, particularly these days in the digital world where we think we can fix it in the mix. I remember going into tape studios where you'd just jot down 16 or 24 tracks and you plan the whole thing out before you even entered the studio. And that's a great thing still to do, to plan out your recording and keep a lot of organization and order. I'd often get, when I was working with clients, a lot of the time, say an acoustic guitar piece sent through with 8 different mics on it and get asked to choose which ones I prefer and make the decision for the client. And I think it's always best if you're working as an artist to make sure that you make the decision at that stage. So if you're sending it on to a mix engineer, that you've already made the decisions of the sounds that you like. Not only will that speed that up, but it will make the mix sound better as well. You'll be utilizing your mix engineer better. And if you're working alone, do the same with yourself. So you select at that stage on a certain day when you've been tracking what one you like the best or what recording you like the best, and put that forward to the mix stage for the next time that you visit your DAW. Number 5, and that's utilizing your bus tracks. I talked about this quite a lot on Real Home Studio. If you've recorded, say, 60, 70, 80 tracks, it's going to take you a long time to mix compared to if you mix them down onto, say, 8 or 10 individual bus tracks. Then you've just got a few tracks to mix. It's going to be so much easier. It might feel like a bit of work at the start and it's taking a bit of time to organize them and bank those tracks into like drums, guitars and vocals. But once you've done it and condensed down your bus tracks, it will save you a whole bunch of time. And number 6, taking breaks. I don't want to get taking breaks confused with interrupting the workflow, but if your workflow is lasting like 9 hours and you got up at 10 and you've been working through the day, you haven't had any lunch, you haven't moved from your seat, you haven't had any dinner, you haven't interacted with the world or looked outside your curtains, then I'd probably suggest that's not too healthy. Looking at the screen just for that length of time is just not good for us at all. So taking breaks is really, really important. Of course, you don't want to interrupt your workflow if you're in the flow of something, just, you know, setting a clock, but make sure that you do take those regular breaks. Often find as well, when you take that break away, give your ears a bit of a break, you just go into a different environment, have a look outside the window, get a bit of fresh air, go outside for a walk. When you come back, I think your work improves. You can hear it with different ears, and again, you're making better choices. So make sure you freshen those ears, freshen your eyes, freshen your mind regularly when you're working in your home studio. I do hope you enjoyed that video today. If you've got your own home studio time-saving mix tips, please do share it with the real home studio community by popping it in the comments box below. Most importantly, have yourself a great day.